Welcome to The Profitable Cleaner, a podcast on commercial cleaning sales and entrepreneurship.
Miss Jeans Mobley, how are you?
Oh, I am tired and happy to be here. And ask me again in 5 minutes and it might be different. I'm operating on a minute-to-minute basis.
So this is a unique episode. This is actually a special episode for me because we're back at Trailhead Community. Mm-hmm. A lot of the listeners to our show have heard about Trailhead because it's near and dear to my heart. And you and I were introduced to each other coming up on, is it about a year ago?
February, so shy of a year.
Coming up on a year now. So there's a few areas of things I'd like to discuss. Mm-hmm. Maybe give us the 2-minute intro of who you are and what you do.
Okay. As you know, not an easy answer. I wear many hats. I am both the executive director of Trailhead, the nonprofit, and the community manager of Trailhead Community, the building. So I've kind of touched all parts of this project in my year here. Let's see, prior to coming here, I was working at an accounting firm, a corporate accounting firm, and I just needed a job out of college, did that, and I quickly realized it was not the career I wanted to be in for the rest of my life. And I happened to take a phone call from one Barb Ziegler, who I'm sure we'll get into a lot more later. And like with all things Trailhead, pieces fell into place at a perfect time, and I found myself in a completely different career and found where I am supposed to be. So it's been a big year in my life personally, and that's the long and the short.
Yeah, so why don't we talk about, so for those listening, Barb Ziegler was the founder of Trailhead Community. Mm-hmm. She was kind of I would describe her as our fearless leader, but you also have a special connection with her. Why don't you talk to us about that? Because this plays big into the story.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try. It's hard talking about because it's still so fresh. So Barb was my grandma. My nanny is what I called her, is Nani. I had to, when I started working with her, had to delineate between Nani and Barb because in a professional setting, I was like, this is Barb, my boss, versus Nani, my grandma. And so she is who brought me into this project. I had a particularly awful day at work. Came home and I was complaining to my mom on the phone, just being frustrated at the situation I was in and the way it was affecting my life and the stage of life I was in, where I felt very stuck. I felt like I wasn't doing what I wanted to be, but I didn't know what it was that I wanted to be doing. And she stopped me and she goes, "Hey, I really think you need to call Nani." I was like, "Why? I mean, I probably need to check up on her because we all need to call our grandparents more, but what do you mean?" And she had that same day had a phone conversation with Barb, in which Barb was complaining about how at Trailhead she really needed more help and how she thought that I was someone she wanted on the Trailhead team. And she had always kind of joked that she wanted me involved, and I was always hesitant because, I was in college. Right after college, I was offered just like a full-time office job, and I felt like that was the route that you're supposed to take after college. So I did that for a few years, but she had always, I was always in the background, and I was always seeing the progression and interested in it, but scared. And so that day, after my mom told me that, I was like, okay, this is interesting. Just the fact that it happened on the same day felt very larger than me. So I called my nanny, and so we had a brief conversation. She was like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, well, are you serious? Tell me more. And so we had a long conversation, tabled our conversation, and then it was actually Thanksgiving. Our family got together, and the whole time we knew that there was something we needed to talk about, but wanted to get through Thanksgiving dinner first. So then everyone's in the living room, laying out post-Thanksgiving meal, and Barb and I sat at my aunt's kitchen table. Kitchen table seemed to be significant for Trailhead.
Yeah.
And so Barb and I sat and had a long conversation about Trailhead and about what a role here may look like. It quickly became not at all what we talked about, but I've learned to roll with that.
Yeah.
And so then we were approaching tax season. So I needed to make a decision quick because I needed to make sure I was leaving my previous job with enough time to find a replacement. And then it all happened very quickly. I think a couple weeks later I had quit my job, and then I started, so that was Thanksgiving, and by the end of January I was done at the accounting firm and starting at Trailhead. So it's hard to put into words because in such a short amount of time, she completely changed my life. So how do I verbalize it? Yeah, this project, in all the ways that it has been a blessing in my life, one of the biggest blessings was getting to spend time with Barb.
Yeah.
And getting to know her in a way that I hadn't before, and getting her to know me in a way she had never seen before.
Yeah.
So Trailhead was special, and it gave me purpose and gave me a chance to work with a phenomenal person and get to spend her last months with her. So
Totally. And I wanted to kind of start with your relationship to Barb and Trailhead Community, because I think a lot of people listening as business leaders can relate to taking a leap of faith. Because in many ways, you took a huge leap of faith, not just working with your grandma, but like Trailhead Community, for those that don't know, when Jeans came on board, this building was not open. There was a lot of financial instability and questions and logistics that had yet to be figured out. And your role was kind of created because Barb saw a need, but a lot of people weren't expecting to add a new addition to the team.
What's up, Profitable Cleaner listeners? Quick question for you. Are you using 5 to 7 different platforms just to manage the everyday operations of your commercial cleaning company? If so, let us help you consolidate that into one platform. Introducing you uSource. Go to usource.com, book your free demo today, and actually get started on your trial for 60 days. No charge for 60 days, all from time and attendance to reporting, vendor management, operations, sales. It's time you stop using 5 to 7 platforms and consolidate into one. So listeners, don't forget, go to usource.com and start your account today.
Hey, I want to hire this, I think she called you an assistant community manager. And at the time, I wanted to be my granddaughter. And I originally was like, Barb, I don't know if you're trying to sell me something to create a position for your granddaughter, which I respect, but I don't know how these roles translate. And I say that because I have the utmost respect now for you, but I just wasn't sure. And lo and behold, I'm so glad I was wrong on my assumption. And next thing I know, Barb just did what she did. She said, no, we're hiring this person. And I think you had to take a leap of faith, leaving a corporate job, coming to essentially like I know it's a nonprofit, but in many ways, it's kind of like a startup. And then also there's no job description. There's no clear path forward. This is how you do A, B, and C. So in many ways, it's kind of like an entrepreneurial journey for you. And then this is really what I want to get into today. Really quickly, you were thrown into a leadership role. And so how old are you?
I'm 25.
25 years old.
24 when I started with
Trailhead. So 24, 25 years old into a project that is housing families with loved ones that have an adult child or loved one with a disability. And there's a lot of money logistics, different areas of funding. You're dealing with corporate bankers. You're dealing with passionate families that have invested their life savings into this project. And then Barb, for those that don't know, she was in her last year of life, right? Fighting cancer and passionately pursuing this project. And you were put in front of families having to answer questions that didn't always have answers to.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the word leadership, what that meant to you at 24 and what that means to you at 25.
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I think, how to put this into words? Leadership. At 24, when I came onto this project, I didn't know I would be in a leadership role. That was not what I was signing up for. I was signing up to help get the building open. And then quickly things transpired with the nonprofit, and I absolutely fell in love with the mission and with the people and the families. And so when push came to shove and they needed more from me, it wasn't a question. They needed more, and I was willing to give it. And I think the leadership role, I don't even think I really realized all of a sudden when I was in a leadership role.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a natural progression where all of a sudden I'm touching more parts of the project, and then people are coming to me for answers. And like you said, sometimes I didn't have that answer. And something Barb taught me was it's always okay to say, I don't have the answer to that. I will find it and I will get it for you. So that was and is still, I think, how I run my leadership is very honestly. I am a human. I don't have all the answers all the time. And so I try to be as authentic as possible in I am learning every day, and I will get you the answer. And I think it's hard for me to talk about my strengths, but if for the sake of being authentic here, I think that's what makes me an effective leader, is my ability to acknowledge when I don't know. And something else Barb taught me was that you are going to make mistakes. You're going to make the wrong decision. And being a good leader means you know that, and you make your decisions anyways, and then you adjust as needed.
Yep.
You make your decisions effectively and informed, with the understanding that you may not always be right, and that is okay. So I think my concept of leadership has completely changed where, even my minor is actually in leadership.
Really?
It is. And I think from that, I had a very narrow perspective of leadership. That, a leader shows up, a leader knows what needs to be done, knows how to engage people, knows how to do it exactly right. And how wrong that is. I think, and like I said, I think before I thought leadership was just something that people had the innate ability to do. And I think now leadership and to be a leader to me are the people that are willing to acknowledge that they are not always right and that they are willing to learn.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot less pressure in leadership to me now. It's more about caring for people.
Yeah, I remember remember hearing early on that genuine intention can make up for wrong decision. And what that statement means to me is like, you're going to make wrong decisions as a leader, but if you have genuine intention behind your initial decision, even though it's wrong, that can make up for it. And I think Barb was a great example of that. Like every decision that I learned a ton of leadership from Barb. Every decision she made was not right, but there was always genuine intention behind it. One thing too, I want to talk to me about being fearless. And the reason I say that is because everyone, like prior to me being in leadership roles, I used to think, oh, being a leader was fun, was cool. You had the accolades. It was all ego driven for me, just to find out being a leader sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
And it really fucking sucks. And you have to have fearless conversations. You have to be fearless. And someone like you, like initially you're very reserved, kind of quiet, but I've seen you have such fearless, tough conversations with families, with sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line. Talk to me about how you approach that fearlessness in your position. Maybe those tough conversations.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I don't think I'm fearless. I think it's something I'm really trying to actually unlearn right now is because I care about this project so much. There are oftentimes I hold a lot of fear and a lot of fear that
What's up, my profitable leaders? I know you're listening to this show because you want to stay informed and on top of your game. And I want to bring you something that is often overlooked, and that's how we mitigate risk and actually protect our business, whether that's with misclassification of our employees, contract litigation, immigration law, because we have people that work for us that are from other countries that maybe or maybe aren't misclassified. That's why we partnered with Campos Law. Campos Law is a humanized law firm, as I would put them. They are more than just expert attorneys. They're people looking to help people and business owners just like you. So when it comes to your contract setup, when it comes to your classification of your employees, when it comes to just protecting your business as a true asset, which it is why you should be talking with Campos Law. So for more information, click the link in these show notes and get a partner like Campos Law on your side.
I think I tap into a fearless place when I know I am doing what is best for this project. So I think this project almost brings out that fearless in me, where I know there are people counting on me. I know what is on the line. I've gotten to deeply care for these residents. And so I'm fearless for them. I think in this position, when you're dealing with a population that is so underserved, I have the ability to contribute real good here. So they are the ones that make me fearless. When they are not involved, it's a lot harder for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also, like, you know, you're a female in a very, like, at least right now, in a very male-dominated space with construction. This is a $24 million construction project. And you came in and literally had to pick up the pieces. So I've just been, I guess, I always look, I guess I don't look, that's the wrong, I believe leadership is earned. It's never given. And same with like respect. And like you have really gained my respect as a leader, seeing those fearless conversations you've had to have as this young woman in these hard situations, kind of on like similar to Barb. She was an elderly woman in tough situations that I saw her beat up corporate bankers.
Yeah,
And
totally.
so talk to me about how you keep a good mindset, emotional state with all the, especially like the last, let's say 90 days. Your grandmother passed away 1 week before this building opened. we knew that she was sick, but I guess to me, it felt very fast.
Yuck.
And then not only are you dealing with the grief of Barb leaving, doors are opening here. So talk to me how like you've been able to emotionally navigate that with keeping the professional balls rolling.
The short answer is therapy. The longer answer is it's not been easy. You touched on it earlier. I entered this project as a woman, as a young woman, and as the leader's granddaughter. So you were not alone in your assumptions and your reservations about me joining the team, because nobody at that point knew me. Nobody knew. It appeared that I was being handed something that I was not ready for. And, you know, in some areas, I wasn't. I had to grow into this role a lot. And I had a lot of really great support in doing so. But I think nothing, it's a cheesy quote, but nothing in life that is worth it is easy. And I think that the amount that I have learned through talking to bankers, being in construction weekly meetings, being with families and learning how to best support their loved ones. Like there are so many aspects of this project that I'm grateful to have been able to touch. And it has been a lot to absorb. It's been a lot to learn. I think how I take care of myself is reminding myself that it is okay. It is okay that I don't know everything, and it is okay to be learning, and to have my hard moments. Especially, I mean, in the last 90 days without Barb, it has been the most challenging time of my entire life. And knowing me, I've been through quite a bit, so that's a tough thing for me to say. Because doing this project without her, that's not how it was supposed to go. But I need to let go of how things are supposed to be, because they never turn out that way. Taking care of myself with therapy, taking care of myself with moving one day at a time. You know, putting one foot in front of the other and not trying to look too far into the future, because I don't have control over it. And being here, being in this building, being with my residents, like what I said earlier, with them helping me be fearless, being here with them and seeing the why behind all the work and behind the stress, behind having to work through the grief, is what keeps me coming back the next day.
Totally. I think I want people to kind of back out 20,000 feet. Mm-hmm. So, because I think everyone can relate to the idea of having a vision, whether it's a vision for your business, your family, a nonprofit. Mm-hmm. And I've always heard the term vision and all that, and I believe this project was built by a visionary in Barb. Mm-hmm. But if you're listening to this and you're wondering, is my vision going to come to fruition? Mm-hmm. Know that the journey is going to take 10 times longer than you expected. I had never really seen a vision come to fruition till Trailhead. Mm-hmm. And, you know, this started 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And 10 years later, the doors open. The lady who created the vision wasn't here to see the doors open, mm-hmm. but then you walk into a building, you walk into the vision, and you actually see the initial vision of people mm-hmm. engaging. So if you're listening to this, know that whatever your vision is, it's going to take longer. Mm-hmm. It's going to be different. And you know what? It's actually probably going to be more rewarding than you imagine.
Oh, yeah. And I think with that, you're going to face hurdle after hurdle after hurdle that you could have never predicted. There is no, I think you hit the nail on the head with a vision. There's no predictability. There was no predictability at any point of this project, and I think times when you thought there were is when you got flipped on your head more than any of the rest of them. And I think Barb's words always come to my head, so it will reference her a lot. But she told me, and when I asked her, you know, how have you managed to continue this long through all of these hurdles? I mean, 10 years, she started when she was 68. Like, most people are retired, relaxing at that point, and Barb was entering this vision of a project.
That's a great point.
Accomplished by the time she was 77. She accomplished more in 10 years than some people do in their entire lives.
That's a good point.
And so in talking to her, she always had very simple responses that have just stuck with me. You know, how have you been able to do this? Well, you never give up.
Yep.
And it's as simple as that for her. She saw a challenge, she got through it, and she didn't give up. Even when she was battling cancer. I think she worked harder than she should have at times.
Me too.
But she never gave up, and I'll never forget that.
What's up, my profitable cleaners? Listen, you guys know that running a cleaning business isn't just about cleaning. It's about growth, trust, building a legacy, and making true impact. That's where Swept comes in. With Swept, it's simple, powerful. It's an app that you can track your cleaner attendance with geofence clock-ins, streamlined processes, team communication, and save hours on payroll. It's the ultimate tool designed specifically for janitorial businesses just like yours. Take control, save time, focus on what matters most, growing your business and spending time with your family. Swept. Clean better, grow faster. If you guys are interested in Swept, click the link below in the show notes and partner with one of the best in the industry.
I think there is some truth to that, right? Just like simplicity of like, keep going, right? And then if like, when I look at my tenure in business, it's just like, we survived just because we kept going. You survived the next day. You started compounding good days, or, you know, you get swings of momentum. And I think people assume that entrepreneurship or business or building a vision, it's all about the peak. It's like, no, there's a lot of valleys in there. And you have to really enjoy the journey, because a good friend of this project who's on this board, I remember thinking, I worked with Barb to get to I'm just going to say fundraise $24 million, although it wasn't actually fundraised, but to pitch to banks and stuff. And I remember thinking, man, if we can just get $24 million secured, we've done it. Everything else will fall into place. And then a good friend of our organization who this community, our podcast knows, Matt McMullen, said, as soon as you open up the building, welcome to the start. Talk to me about, a lot of people listening to this, they're in facility services, they know building logistics. Talk to us about your experience of opening up an 80-unit multifamily condo unit.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Another place where I'm wearing a hat that I frankly didn't have experience in. And I am learning more than I ever understood when I took this job. So opening the building, you know, we're dealing with random stoves that you have to turn on 4 times before they stop tripping the breaker. And then they never trip the breaker again. We're dealing with, this whole building was built with accessibility in mind. So all of our showers have roll-in showers. Well, that is not the best design when it comes to keeping water in the shower. So we're dealing with trying to be creative on how do we blend accessibility and functionality. And that's been a real big challenge, I think, with this building, is wanting it to be as accessible and attainable as possible, and also be a livable, functioning space. We've got a trash room where dumpsters don't fit perfectly. And hindsight, we need 3 extra feet. So all of these
Commercial kitchen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A commercial kitchen that have had many peaks and valleys in and of itself.
Yeah.
Having residents move in who, I think, unique to this project, most of them have never lived on their own before. So we're navigating how we support them. And these are some things that, like with other parts of Trailhead, we really couldn't plan for ahead of time because we had no clue how it was going to turn out. How we thought it was going to turn out in some ways is true, and in some ways was completely different. So it's been a practice here too of taking it one day at a time and seeing what the day brings, addressing it as it comes up, laughing at the end of the night, and coming back the next day. So it's interesting because I've been thrown into so many areas now that I had previously no experience. And I think in some ways you could look at that and say, well, that was a silly decision on the building's part. But I think it's given me a unique lens where I'm not coming into this with any preconceived notion about what should happen. And as you can attest to, and as we've talked about, there is no should really when it comes to Trailhead. There is just what happens. So I think it's allowed me to be more flexible because I've never opened an apartment complex before. I don't know what is normal. So to me, this just every day feels perfectly Trailhead, and we address the issues as they come up. And I also have a wonderful staff. We have a pretty skeletal staff right now, but all of them have been fantastic and so in line with our vision. So I also have a lot of support, which helps.
Yeah. How many people are on your staff?
We've got 8, and then more coming in the spring. So I think we'll get up to from 15, 20.
So again, I wanted that number to be out there because we were talking about leadership, and then we've talked on this podcast about the scale of leadership and how fast things can scale. So like you went from this corporate bookkeeping job, I'm calling it, to all of a sudden, hey, here's a $24 million project. Here's the finances. Here's the bullshit with everything on it. Here's the families, and here's a staff of 15. So that's definition of the scale of leadership.
Totally.
And I guess less than a year ago, would you imagine that?
No, not at all. Less than a year ago, I think I was learning how to work from home.
Yeah.
Because I was now transitioning to that.
Yeah.
So less than a year ago, I really saw my role at Trailhead as a supporting role. And like you said, I was really quiet in the early stages because everyone else had been involved for so long. I didn't want to step on toes. I didn't want to be a hindrance. And I think I realized that Barb brought me in for a reason.
Yep.
And once I accepted that she saw something in me, and let myself kind of see that in myself, I think is when it changed for me. And I started speaking up in these meetings. And so no, a year ago, if you told me that now, I may panic and back out.
Yeah, right.
That me was a lost and confused me.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and I want to hit on a few things. I guess leadership is just going to be the juice of this content, which I think is so fitting for what you do. But we had interviewed someone earlier this week, and he said something really interesting. And if you're listening to this, take this in consideration when you're hiring. He said, all of the best people we've ever hired, we've hired based on potential. And when I think about Barb, she was a magician at hiring people based on potential and seeing opportunity in the future with them. Like, she took a huge freaking chance on me. Like, my expertise and experience on paper is not applicable to anything with Trailhead. But she kept me around for 7 years, right? Like, and with you, almost the same thing. Like, resume would not meet the criteria
Not at all.
of what's needed. So I guess talk to us about, or I guess maybe talk to the audience about that.
Yeah. She definitely informed my hiring of staff because Barb was kind of a serial mentor.
Yeah,
I think she
sure.
was so good at seeing, like you said, seeing the potential in somebody and helping to foster that in a way that was so genuine and supportive, which in turn made it effective. That, you know, she didn't care what college you went to.
No.
She didn't care if you'd gone to college.
Yep.
She did not care that if you worked at 6 different renowned places, she was not, that was never anything that was a concern to her. Her concern was who you were as a person. It was the vulnerability and what you brought to the table. Not only what you brought to the table, but what you could bring to the table.
Yeah.
She wasn't even necessarily concerned with this person doesn't have a lot of experience. She cared that this is a person that is willing to learn and willing to do what needs to be done.
Yep.
And I think in hiring my own staff, especially for this role where we're trying to do something so new here, there wasn't really any credentials I cared to see. You know, if people had worked with people with disabilities before, great. I never have, and I know I'm good at it.
Yeah.
And I know people feel comfortable with me.
Yep.
So people have never worked in a residential community before. Great. I haven't either. So when it came to hiring our staff, we looked for people that wanted to be a part of this community with us. We looked for people that wanted to be here and spend time with our residents, wanted to be here. We were also very clear, we're brand new. I can tell you on paper, this is what it'll look like, but I want to be clear that I'm not certain it'll look like this. And I really hope you can help us build this. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what doesn't work for you. I want to hear your ideas. I want to hear how we can make this community feel whole. So we really looked for people that just got what we were trying to do, and were willing to learn with us. And it's worked out.
Seems like they've like really bought into the vision, right?
Yeah.
And I used to hear vision talk. I used to hear all of this and I'd be like, oh, the concept makes a ton of sense, but maybe it's not for our company or whatever. And then it's like, I'm just going to take Trailhead aside and talk about power placing or this podcast. And it's like the people that are most committed for us bought into the freaking vision. And like, I'm gonna be honest, like we don't always pay the best. We don't, I mean, not that we don't want to, right? But same with Trailhead, right? Like it's like people aren't coming to us because of pay.
Yeah, I don't have competitive rates.
I don't have competitive rates, right? People aren't coming to us because they have some added benefit of working here, like great insurance, right? They're here for the vision, for the cause. All right, I have a few questions. This is a curveball here. Talk to me about like what, now that you're running a building, what you look in terms of like vendor management, like who you want in the building from that services the building. Maybe it's your janitorial, maybe it's a handyman, maybe it's, I don't know, anyone else that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head, but like there's the residents in the building, the staff in the building, and then there's the people that service the building. What do you look like, or what will you be looking for in a vendor?
So interestingly, where I think it's also different than a normal apartment complex is my vendors need to get the mission too.
Yeah.
I think through this whole process, down to finding funding sources, finding our general contractor, finding our architect, it never worked with people that didn't see the vision. I'm thinking of previous realtors that were interviewed.
Yep.
And our current realtor, the only people that have stuck around and have made true impact are those that have seen the vision and understood it.
Yes.
So when it comes to vendors, I feel very protective over this place in all the pieces and all the work that has gone into this, and seeing the residents live the vision is the most huge, moving, I don't even have words for it, thing I've ever experienced. And so vendors coming in this building, similarly, where I don't have a lot of experience with that yet, this is very new for me. They probably don't often get met with, let me tell you where this project came from, and I want to hear what you think about it. So we've had to be very clear, like with snow removal. Our population here, not most of them, but a good chunk of them have mobility struggles, whether it be due to vision, due to physical ailments. Like there's a lot of different ways in which mobility is impacted, both with our people with disabilities and with our neurotypical individuals that live here.
All right, I know you guys are wondering, how can we keep our cleaning crews engaged and informed, and it doesn't have to feel like a struggle? With Team Engine, you can now automate messages, update teams in real time, and bridge language gaps with their built-in AI-powered translations. Whether it's scheduling, last-minute changes, or sharing critical updates, Team Engine keeps your workforce connected and productive. Say goodbye to miscommunication and hello to smoother operations. Visit teamengine.io to get started today.
So when it came time to picking a snow removal company, we talked to several people, and I was like, I need to know, call me selfish, that this is your first stop. Because when it comes to maintaining safety outside with ice, with snow, I need a vendor that understands the needs of this population and my need to make sure they are safe, and my buildings need to make sure they are safe. So I had to find a snow remover that was like, absolutely, I'll come out. And same thing, most snow removals, they come at 3-4 inches, and we talked to him, I really need you out here even if there's an inch. I need you to shovel my walkways. I need to make sure the handicap parking spots are shoveled and all entry walkways to get there. And he, without hesitation, got it. Absolutely. I need to make sure that this is a safe place. I want this to be a safe place. So it was a unique situation in, I can't have X, Y, and Z's stuff getting shoveled first, because my folks are leaving here at 8 a.m. to go to day program, and I need to make sure that they can get from point A to point B safely.
Yes.
And I think that is true of the other vendors as well.
Yeah.
Janitorial. You're coming into my building. You're coming into our secure areas. You're coming into full, nearness to residents' homes. I need to know you take that seriously.
And you're here for 4 hours.
Exactly. I need to know that I can trust you with my residents, that I can trust you with my staff, because of the uniqueness of this place. So with vendors, it's been an interesting conversation, because you get the ones that are like, all right.
Copy, paste, here's a quote.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you get the ones that are like, wow, let me talk about how can I best help? Pest control. This is a great example. We talked to all the big pest control.
There's a lot of pest control guys listening to this right now.
Well, wonderful. Let me give you some tips on what worked for me. So we had several meetings with pest control because, well, obviously, it's a brand new building. We want to protect it, keep it rodent free, because I'm not dealing with mice.
For sure.
And the difference And the company we ended up going with is the company who, we gave everyone the same spiel. We told everyone what we were trying to do. I will sit here and talk about it till I'm blue in the face. So it was not, I talked to them about it probably more than I needed to. And the company we chose was the company who came and told me, I would really love to come in here after you guys are settled and even do like an hour conversation with all your residents and help them learn how you can prevent pests from coming into the building. Because she got the fact that many of them that's not something they've ever thought about before. And she wanted to be able to come in and talk with them, be a resource, be a help, be part of the community, part of helping us take care of it. And I know that's not feasible for all companies, but that made all the difference in the world of her wanting to be a part of helping our residents succeed.
Well, absolutely. I think you just hit it. We've talked on the show a lot, like, how do you sell better, right? Sales is my background. It's like, there's actually no tactic on how to sell better. The right answer is just be useful.
Yeah.
And like serve.
Right.
So this person came in, she said, let me educate, let me be a part of. That's being useful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's serving.
Yeah.
Which ends up into more business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Such a simple concept.
It is. And, they've been great to work with. And it also wasn't an empty promise. So
there you go.
They didn't come here and give me that whole spiel and not follow up. So since then, we've had several conversations where they've offered to come in and we've made the decision, to wait until some more residents moved in so it would be a more effective conversation. But our gal, Brianne, she's wonderful, has been very, okay, well, you let me know when we want to do this because I'm serious. I want to come in here and be a support. I want to come in and help give some tips even to you and your staff that you may not be aware of. So I think follow through was a big thing for me as well in seeing, okay, cool, we signed a year contract with you based on what you said. Now, do you deliver? And she is, I am not concerned that she is not going to deliver. And that's been a really nice relief. Right?
Yeah.
With all the other things that I have floating around is that I don't have to worry that she meant what she said.
Yeah. It's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I have two last questions for you. I would be remiss if I didn't give you this stage and platform to maybe educate people listening right now about the population and community of adults with developmental disabilities. So anything you'd like to share to maybe bring education to our audience would be awesome.
So I'll give you my take on it. And if it's something that you've said before, it'll be a good refresher for people. So this whole project was started around a kitchen table of moms who were concerned of what happens with their loved one after they pass away. And it is a reality that far too many parents are facing. I wish I had the number off the top of my head.
20,000 in Colorado.
20,000 in Colorado. So 20,000 adults with disabilities in Colorado alone with aging caretakers. My building houses 81 people. That is, it's not nothing because I know these people, but in the large scheme of what needs to be done, it is a very small percentage. So people right now with disabilities face homelessness. If they don't have the resources to help them, they face living in retirement communities as a 25-year-old. That's not conducive to the life that you deserve to live. Group homes, some of those are great. A lot of them really are not. So the resources right now are severely lacking. And we're going to face serious problems when all these caretakers pass and we don't have the ability to help take care of these people and to help give them the lives that they deserve. So this mission and this building speaks to why people need to pay attention and why people need to care, because, Barb, she started this project around a kitchen table with a bunch of moms after her husband passed away, because she got scared of, oh shoot, I could pass away and my daughter would have nowhere to go. Well, like we mentioned, a week before this building opened, she passed away, and her daughter is living here. Her daughter has been surrounded by so much care and so much support to help her through the loss of her mom. And the building is doing exactly what it was intended to do: provide natural supports for people and community, for people that even after their caretakers pass away, they know that they're going to be in a safe place. And so I see it playing out here, and it's so beautiful, and it breaks my heart that everyone doesn't get a trailhead. Everyone doesn't have that opportunity. So I would encourage everyone to look into how you could make a difference. I mean, you know, we have been so blessed with such wonderful donors. I think what maybe doesn't get talked about enough is how many wonderful volunteers we've had. Right now, while we're a pretty skeletal staff, I have 6 or 7 volunteers coming in next week to get tours of the building, to start doing a volunteer shift here for us, and to help us be a support in this community, to help give me an extra set of hands. So when a dumpster doesn't fit out the door, I can go run and take care of that and know my residents are still getting what they need out of this place. So volunteerism is a huge impact for our community and other like communities. So even just sharing the message, sharing the mission, we've been a very grassroots operation. I'm sure, I mean, you know better than I do. It's word of mouth. I guess that would, can I leave a call to action?
Absolutely. Hell yeah. We're going to promote it all
because
throughout.
I think every piece of this puzzle that has come together has come from a conversation.
Yes.
Has come from someone telling someone about us. And then all of a sudden we have the best donor we could possibly ask for. We have the best staff we could possibly ask for. It all comes from conversation. So that would be my call to action, I guess.
Yeah, and if you guys are wondering how we can get involved right now, whether it's with Trailhead, actually just with Trailhead, go to trailheadcommunity.org. We're going to link everything below. I'm actually going to challenge you guys and encourage you guys. I'm going to encourage that this video raises $5,000. So if you're listening to this, hit the donation link in the video below, or in the link below, and help us raise $5,000, and it 100% tax deductible. And if you guys donate it through the Profitable Cleaner, we'll be able to track that and know. So,
and $5,000, while in the grand scheme of this $24 million project, is also a drop. In terms of building operations, $5,000 gets us community events for 2 months.
Yes.
That helps us bring people together.
Yeah.
Every dollar we get in this project goes directly into making this place a home. So $5,000, that changes this place.
Totally.
So it goes a long way.
And if you are in a position to donate, share this video, share this mission below, and know that there's other missions in the country trying to achieve the same thing that also need the support. There's no competition here. We're fighting what Barb used to call an invisible enemy, and that is lack of awareness. This is like an invisible population to a lot of people, and hopefully this brings some of that awareness.
Yeah.
Jeans, my last thing for you, and I don't know if you guys hear saws in the background. If you do, I think this is actually a beautiful thing, because this is what like opening a building is. There's cabinetry being put in. There, speaking of vendors, there's woodworking vendors here right now. So that's kind of the rawness of like opening up a building, which I love. And for those that listen to us know that we're rough, rugged, and real here. So last thing, maybe a message to either your family, maybe to Barb, maybe to the community. What would you this is a special podcast for me. And I believe Barb's here right now. Any last message you would like to give?
I think to Barb, to you, to the families in this project and the residents in this project, thank you for seeing something in me that I didn't, and for giving me the space to fail and to understand the impact that I want to have in this community, because not many people would have given a 24-year-old girl a couple years out of college with a communication degree a second look. And I think that chance and that opportunity is going to inform the rest of my life, the way I lead, the way I treat people, the way I serve my community. That chance meant more than I will ever be able to express. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Here, I'm going to give you a hug.
Thanks, James.